How much do you know about the water around you? Do you know where it comes from? Do you know where it's flowing towards? We are so dependent on the water around us, yet so few take a second to think about its origin. Most of the water flowing from the west comes from the Rocky Mountains. At our current demand for water, the Rockies cannot hold up. We are using too much water and not thinking about its effect. The source of water is in need of saving. Water is not unlimited. Soon enough, if we do not think about water usage, we will be left with no water to use. To truly understand humans' impact on water from the Rockies, it's best to start at the very beginning of American Western water usage. People first settled in Mesa Verde in approximately 550 AD. The Pueblo people primarily stored domestic water in basins. They also constructed low stone masonry check dams to form farming trenches and to store water for irrigation. It wasn't until hundreds of years later that settlers started entering the land. In 1852, Hispanic settlers dug the People's Ditch, the oldest irrigation system in continuous use in Colorado. Water continued to be distributed as more settlers entered the land. There were not any major issues until the gold rush.
Population of the western states grew significantly, beginning in the late 1800s. At this time, there was intense conflict between gold miners in California as well as farmers across the region. Because water was scarce, many people wanted to use it. People who came west and were granted 40-acre homesteading rights at that time wanted to use water for their property. However, many of those 40-acre homesteads were not located adjacent to a source of water. Therefore, those farmers knew, and they learned that they needed to construct ditches and canals to transport water from streams to their farms to irrigate their lands. Prior appropriation was the solution to this problem.
The prior appropriation doctrine is a method of regulating water rights used primarily in the western United States. In prior appropriation jurisdiction, water rights are granted based on when a person uses water for beneficial use. Unlike the riparian system, water rights are not attached to land ownership. The prior appropriation doctrine is also described as first in time, first in right, because the date of the first water is used to determine the owner's priority to use the water. This doctrine has been used in many legislative cases like Coffin v. Left Hand Ditch Company.
In Coffin v. Left Hand Ditch Company, the Supreme Court recognized the principle that Western lands are worthless if the people who inhabit those lands are not able to acquire and convey water to their properties.
An example of a diversion is the Fry Pan, Arkansas project. In 1958, water users in the Arkansas Basin proposed a new southeastern Colorado water conservation district. By 1959, the years of political lobbying by the Arkansas Basin stakeholders finally paid off. Construction began with Rodeo Reservoir in 1964. The diversion tunnel soon followed and was under construction from 1965 to 1971.
The words Frying Pan, Arkansas must of necessity be a name which is taken on faith. But when they come here to this state and see how vitally important it is, not just to this state, but to the West, to the United States, then they realize how important it is that all the people of the country support this project which belongs to all the people of the country.
Water demands in Colorado are continuously rising from Colorado's rapid population growth. While also increasing is the difficulty in permitting new water projects. In response, companies are buying senior agricultural water rights from farmers willing to sell, known informally as buy and dry. During the period of 1997 to 2012, this strategy was the primary contributor to the loss of about 25% of the state's farmland. Colorado water scarcity is increasing because of recurring droughts, which are now intensified by rising temperatures associated with climate change. If we do not save the source of water for cities nationwide today, there will be no cities left tomorrow. Water could one day be dried up in Colorado rivers. Water would be stripped from people, and companies would gobble it up. According to Clean Water Statistics, there are approximately 2 million out of 328 million people 0.06%, who do not have clean access to drinking water in the United States. This rate will significantly increase if action is not taken in the near future.
By 2050, Colorado's population is expected to grow from 5.7 million to 7.5 million people. And at the same time, our water supply is decreasing. And the stakes are extremely high if we do nothing. In 2019, the state of Colorado estimated the impacts of not meeting our future water needs will ultimately cost the state between 300,000 and nearly 600,000 jobs.
A future without water in Colorado is desolate and barren. If Colorado runs out of water, people will move to other regions that are in less distress, like the Midwest, East Coast, Alaska, or even other countries. This is hypothetical for now, so it is hard to predict exactly what will happen. But if we sit around and wait, we will find out. We need to do everything possible to avoid a future without water. Saving the source is not simple, but solutions are manageable. We may be in a crisis, however, it is not entirely irreversible. With time and proper responsibility, the West can implement a more sustainable water system. There are many ways that this is possible. 1. Fix leaking water distribution systems.
We're talking about one home, a leak may be a gallon a day or less, but when we start talking about 45,000 people in a community, or if we look larger scale across the county, a couple 100,000 people, the cumulative effect of that is pretty large.
U.S. EPA estimates public water systems lose 16% of treated water on average, primarily due to leaking distribution and service pipes. Many local water agencies have water loss programs, but state policies are not needed to ensure and support local action. 4 of the 7 CRB states have some type of water loss requirement with room for improvement, while New Mexico, Utah, and Wyoming currently have no water loss control policies. 2. Produce more renewable energy. To reduce the need for water to cool thermoelectric power plants, the Colorado River Basin states can continue to pursue energy efficiency and renewable sources of energy like wind, solar, and geothermal, which require little to no water. 3. Municipal reuse. Water use is common in many areas. It was not until recently that it was approved in Colorado. On November 14th, 2022, the Colorado Water Quality Control Commission provided final approval for the new District Portable Reuse Rule, incorporated into Regulation 11, Colorado's primary drinking water regulation. This makes it so that water can legally be treated and put directly into taps. This practice may be legalized, though it is not common. All but 7 states have some form of this law. However, for it to be efficient, these laws need to be put into practice. These are just some of many solutions that could be implemented in the West to save water that flows from the tip of the Rockies. These solutions are not easy, but they can make a difference. Hope and actions are currently being implemented that are working towards solving the water crisis. Do you let your faucets drip? There is no better way to make a difference in your local community than to start with your impact. Reduce your environmental impact by consuming less water in your household. Get involved and reach out to local water-saving organizations. Go and advocate for policies that prioritize water conservation and access of water for all. Start today by observing your water consumption and cutting back on your intake. Scan this QR code to the Nature Conservatory website for more information on how you can make an impact on water conservation. The world is facing a water crisis, but there's still time to make a difference. We need to take personal responsibility so that we can save the source to ensure a sustainable future for water across the nation.